President Trump's calls for a new border wall took shape this summer as contractors began installing taller fencing in Oregon Pipe Cactus National Monument and in Yuma County. That brings us to Cochise County, where the federal government plans to replace about 20 miles of existing barrier outside the city of Douglas. This week, we take a closer look at the project and some of the Trump administration's other approaches to curbing immigration at the southern border. To begin our coverage, we recently sat down with the chief of the U.S. Border Patrol, Carla Provost. Provost is the first woman to lead USBP and got her start in Douglas almost 25 years ago. We asked her to reflect on her career since then.
Well, I really love Douglas. I actually spent 11 and a half years in Douglas as an agent, a first-line supervisor, and a second-line supervisor. And I was there during the time frame that we were building up in manpower, that we were adding tactical infrastructure, that we were adding border barriers, that we were adding more technology, and was able to see how that really helped us operate more efficiently, more effectively.
Provost's rise in the agency included supervisory and leadership positions in Yuma, El Paso, and El Centro, California. Today, she oversees about 20,000 Border Patrol agents as chief of USBP. Her official promotion came in August of last year after serving on an interim basis since April of 2017. In that time, the number of Central American families crossing at the border began to climb. And despite a decrease this summer, CBP ended its 2019 fiscal year with more than 800,000 apprehensions, the highest since 2008. Earlier this year, Provost testified about the strain placed on the agency.
I joined the Border Patrol nearly 25 years ago because of my strong belief in our border security mission. I could never have envisioned that today agents would spend at least 40% of their time as child care professionals, medical caregivers, bus drivers, and food service workers. The Border Patrol is not set up to detain people for extended periods of time, and our facilities were built in a time frame when our demographic was single adult males that we were catching. So we are not set to house children, women for long periods of time, but that's also not the Border Patrol's role. Our role is to do the apprehension and get them into the care and custody of either ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or if they're unaccompanied children, into HHS. And they have the facilities that are better equipped to deal with that demographic.
How do you respond to the criticisms that the agency is not treating these men, women, and children, the family units, well while they're in custody?
I will tell you, my men and women are doing an amazing job. I'm very, very proud of them when you consider the facilities and the situation that we are in. We've had overcrowding. We were not shy about that. I have testified to that as well. That comes back to, for instance, by law, I cannot turn over an unaccompanied child to anybody but HHS. And the Border Patrol's the only ones that can't say no. If people come across and we apprehend them, we have to deal with them.
Provost says partner agencies overwhelmed and unable to accommodate the influx of asylum seekers led to overcrowding in Border Patrol's detention centers. Over the last year, the agency faced further scrutiny after several migrants in custody died from illnesses, including children. In late June, Congress approved more than $4 billion in supplemental funding for CBP, which Provost says helped improve conditions at its facilities. The infrastructure along the southwestern border has transformed over the years.
Yes, it has.
The policy for many people has become tougher, policies to enter the border. The number of deaths of migrants have increased over the years. There are the critics who will say the agency has contributed to that. What's your response?
I would tell you this. We're law enforcement first and foremost, and we have a job to protect this country, and we swore an oath to protect this country, and our main mission is to secure the border. And to do that, and in my experience, because I was in Douglas when we had no infrastructure and barely any technology, I would say that we've had a lot of positive impacts that people aren't reporting. For instance, the local communities and the impacts on those communities and the reduction in crime. When it comes to the deaths, we've also, what people don't talk about is the sheer number of people we rescue. Over 4,300 rescues this year. And my men and women are constantly putting themselves in harm's way to take care of and to save lives. I think we need to focus more on the smugglers, because they are not treating these individuals as human beings. They're treating them as a commodity. It's all about money for them. I would tell you they are the ones that are putting them in harm's way.
On the national stage, Provost and CBP have had to play defense as both contend with negative press, like a ProPublica story in July that uncovered a secret Facebook group where agents posted inappropriate jokes about migrant deaths and congressional lawmakers. A follow-up report from The Intercept found Provost was a member of the group. Provost told a House subcommittee she was unaware of the offensive post and self-reported her own membership to the Office of Professional Responsibility once she realized she was part of the group. Because of an internal investigation into the group's activity, she could not address the issue with us, but she did discuss how damaging headlines impact the agency's ability to attract new hires. Is recruiting a challenge for you?
It has been. I will tell you, this last year was the first year in a few that we have gone positive on our hiring versus the losses that we've had, and I expect us to do so again this year. So we've put a lot of effort into our recruiting. But that being said, we're certainly short-staffed. The hiring process is long and tedious, as any federal job is. But we have made a lot of improvements and a lot of strides. I think the negative press certainly doesn't help, but that being said, we are seeing several applicants in the pool of applicants. So,
Provost says CBP could improve when it comes to hiring women, who account for about 5% of the entire force and about 10% of its leadership post. However, Provost sees her own trajectory as a sign the agency is headed in a positive direction.
I do think myself sitting in the role that I am has an impact, because I know when I go meet any of our female agents in the field, I try to stop and talk to them, and I know that certainly gives them the idea that, hey, they can get there too.
You sound hopeful about the future of the agency despite all the noise that's occurring right now.
Well, the Border Patrol's been around for 95 years, and I've watched it develop over the last 25 years, and no matter what the challenge, our men and women step up, and they do an amazing job with very limited resources. So I think my hopes and my expectation that we will get through this too lie on the shoulders of our men and women. They're just amazing people. It's part of the reason I've spent 25 years in this organization.
Okay, Chief Carla Provost, thank you.
Thank you.